Hi, Eric here from iSimple. Today I want to talk to you about the TranzIt BLU HF. I'm going to show you how to install this piece in your vehicle. This is a music streaming and hands-free calling kit for iPhone or Android. Basically, this piece is going to offer you the same type of hands-free calling and music streaming experience that you would get from a big-name hands-free Bluetooth calling kit that would have an external display and an external volume knob or control knob. But where the TranzIt BLU HF really stands apart from those kits is this little module doesn't need an external display or an external big, large control knob that gets mounted on the dash. The beauty is we use RDS, Radio Data System, to send information from the smartphone to the factory radio. So if your radio is equipped with RDS, you can see things like the song title and caller ID displayed right on that factory screen. Now as far as control, we left that up to this tiny, sleek little control button with a flat ribbon cable. So mounting this bad boy and wrapping it around dash panels is actually pretty convenient because it's a small little ribbon. This little button will allow you to control your phone's Bluetooth functions and VR commands, so you can send text messages, make phone calls, or even do navigation. Now in the past, some modules where you've had to install a control button have had a large connector on the end, which makes installing in the dash difficult. On this TranzIt BLU HF, we've left off the connector, making the wire only as large as the wire itself. So you can drill a very small hole if you have to run this through the dash at all. So I'm going to show you how this has to be hooked into the harness here in just a second. The TranzIt BLU HF module has antenna inputs and outputs, and this is going to be the main connection to the radio. So basically you take the vehicle's antenna and plug it into here, and then you take the antenna output and plug that into the back of the factory radio. That's what's going to take all of your hands-free calls and all of your music and play it through the factory radio. The default setting is going to be 98.1 FM, but there's actually a free application for iPhone and Android that comes with the TranzIt BLU HF that's allow you to change that frequency to anything you want. And I'll show you how to do that once we get the piece installed. If your vehicle is equipped with an auxiliary input, the TranzIt BLU HF has a 3.5mm input, or sorry, 3.5mm output. So those antenna connections aren't needed. So if your vehicle has an aux in, you can simply connect that in like so, or connect it on the back of the radio. Now I know that's not super slick there, but I know you install guys will do some custom tricks and connect that in on the back side of the board and make it look really slick and clean. When installing the harness in the vehicle for the TranzIt BLU HF, we need to make sure we wire in the control button. Taking a look at the end of the control button, you'll notice we've left off the bulky connector. So there's no Molex plug or anything on here to take up space. So if you have to drill a hole in the dash or run this between panels, it's pretty convenient to be able to snake that through the dash. So find a convenient mounting location for that button where the user can easily access it. Because keep in mind, this is what they're going to do to access their phone's functions. Instead of picking up their smartphone, they're just going to press this button to launch VR or play their music. I think somewhere around here is going to be a good location in this vehicle. So after I've run the wires through the vehicle, I need to connect them into the TranzIt BLU HF harness. Taking a look at the harness, you'll see there's a pink wire. Take the pink wire from the control button and wire that in. That's it for that connection. Solder that, tape that, insulate it so that it's good to go. Then on the end of your harness, you've got a ground wire and an accessory wire. Connect the ground wire from your control button to the ground wire from the harness. And then connect your accessory and your ground behind the factory radio. With the wire harness connected to the vehicle for accessory power and ground, and your control button wired in, all that's left to do is wire up the microphone. So mount that up in the A-pillar where it's going to get a good line of sight to the driver. Run that down the A-pillar, sneak it through the dash, and then the microphone plugs into the side of the module right there where it says microphone. And then take the harness in the vehicle and plug that into the side over here where it says harness. And then if you turn the radio on to 98.1, you'll actually be able to hear little commands.
When people come to our office, they're often in a state of panic.
So right now it's blinking twice. It's actually trying to find the last phone that was paired. So we need to put it into pairing mode. We just press the button for 2 seconds. Now the LED should be blinking back and forth, back and forth. So now if we turn the phone on, go to the Bluetooth menu and look for TranzIt BLU HF. Now if we turn the radio to 98.1, we'll be able to hear the TranzIt BLU HF. When you press and hold the control button for 6 seconds, it'll turn the module on or off.
Hey, 3, 2, 1,
You hear the relay has clicked, and now you've got
Office
FM radio.
Office Tampa.
Press and hold for 6 seconds again. That turns the TranzIt BLU HF on. Those little series of beeps is letting you know that the piece is turned on. From now, with the smartphone connected and paired through Bluetooth, if we just press this button, it's going to play music for us. If we press the button again, it's going to skip to the next track. Pretty cool. Now if we press and hold the button for just 2 seconds, it's going to bring up our VR. Now on an iPhone, it's going to bring up Siri. On an Android, it could bring up VR or VLingo or DragonSpeak or one of many different command functions. So now that we've wired up the TranzIt BLU HF, we've connected to accessory and ground. We've wired in the control button, the pink wire and the black wire. We've connected either the antenna leads or the 3.5mm. We've run the microphone and connected it to the module. Now it's just time to mount the control button where it's easy for the user to touch. So find a place in the vehicle where it will be convenient for the driver to press that button and access their music and launch their VR functions. If your control button is not working for your TranzIt BLU HF, you need to reprogram the value for it. If you're able to pair your smartphone and launch the TranzIt BLU HF app, select the settings screen and select Enter Learning Mode. Now if I turn up the FM and we're on 98.1, you'll actually be able to hear the commands for it. It asks you, do you want to enter pairing learning mode? Hit yes. You hear a few little beeps. Press and hold the button for about 6 seconds, and the LED on the back of the module is going to turn off. When it turns back on, you'll hear the beeps. Hear those 2 beeps? We've now programmed that button value. We're done. That's the whole process. Now just turn the car off and back on, and you're good to go. Now that we've reprogrammed the button, we'll be able to use the control button to launch the VR and control the phone again. Now I showed you how to relearn the control button's value using the application. But if you're unable to pair a smartphone because the control button's not working, you need to select dip switches number 1 and 3 down. That'll put it into programming mode, just like we did with the application. From there, when we plug the harness in, you're going to hear the same series of beeps, the escalating beeps that we heard, and then you're just going to press and hold that control button for 6 seconds. Again, that LED is going to turn off when you press the button, and it's going to turn back on once the value's been learned. You'll hear the beep beep, just the 2 beeps confirming the button's been learned. Flip all your dip switches back on, down. That's the correct dip switch configuration for the TranzIt BLU HF. Then plug your harness in and you're good to go. The method I showed you earlier works when you're able to use the TranzIt BLU HF app to set the value for the button. So with the module installed, we've got it connected to the audio system. Now I'm going to give you a little demonstration of how the piece works. Simply pressing the control button for 6 seconds will turn the TranzIt BLU HF on. So now we're on. Pressing the button once is going to launch my music. From there we can use steering wheel controls or the volume control. Pressing the button once again is going to skip to the next track. As you can see here, I press the button, it skips to the next track. And again, radios equipped with RDS are going to show that song title and incoming caller ID on the factory radio for apps that apply. Now, not every application has that function, so you're not always going to see that text. A few other things you can do with this control button is launch your VR and get directions or send a text message. Like directions to Amp of America. And just like that, I can control my smartphone, I can do VR, I can get voice navigation, I can send emails, I can do text messages, all without handling my smartphone. So I can mount that somewhere, I can leave that in the glove box, and control my smartphone all with the little control button from the TranzIt BLU HF. That's the TranzIt BLU HF for My Simple, your music streaming and hands-free calling kit.